Wait for my thumbs up. We're good. We are calling to order the regular meeting of the Belen City Council, State of New Mexico, County of Valencia, to be held today, Tuesday, September 6, 2022, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers at City Hall, located at 100 South Main Street in Belen, New Mexico. A copy of the agenda can be obtained from the office of the city clerk. Please be advised that all public meetings are video and audio recorded. Dorothy, roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. Councilor Yvette Padilla, Councilor Danny Bernal Jr., Mayor Robert Noblin, Councilor Frank F. Ortega, Councilor Stephen Holdman. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There is one amendment to the agenda, and that is the removal of item number 6B, the new employee introduction. That employee was not able to be here this evening, so we'll do that at a later date. Other than that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to second.
I have a motion from Councilor Ortega and a second from Councilor Bernal for a vote. Councilor Padilla?
Yes.
Councilor Bernal?
Yes.
Councilor Ortega?
Yes.
Councilor Holdman?
Yes.
Agenda is approved as amended. We do have two sets of minutes this evening to approve. First one being from the August 15th, 2022 regular council meeting. Are there any questions regarding those minutes? If not, I will take a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve?
Second.
A motion to approve from Councilor Ortega and a second from Councilor Bernal for a vote. Councilor Padilla?
Yes.
Councilor Bernal?
Yes.
Councilor Ortega?
Yes.
And Councilor Holdman?
Yes.
The second set of minutes was a workshop, ICIP workshop we held on August the 16th here at City Hall. Are there any questions regarding those minutes? And if not, I will take a motion.
Motion to approve? Second?
Have a motion to approve those minutes from Councilor Holdman and a second from Councilor Ortega for a vote. Councilor Padilla?
Yes.
Councilor Bernal?
Yes.
Councilor Ortega?
Yes.
Councilor Holdman?
Yes.
Those are approved as presented. Item number 5 is public comment. Public comment and observations will be considered at this time. The council will not take action or engage in discussion regarding the comments made, but when appropriate, the matters raised may be referred to staff or others for further review. Derogatory comments or matters under litigation are not allowed, and any person or persons addressing the council are liable for their own statements, not the council. We do ask that you limit your statement to a maximum of 3 minutes and state your name for the record when you come forward. Is there anyone here for public comment at this time? Name for the record, please.
Hannah Gonzalez.
Hi, Hannah.
I'm with Pray for Belen, and I just want to start off the meeting with a prayer and to bless all you guys. So if you guys want to join me in that, you can, or I'll just pray. Lord God, I just thank you for our city, God. I thank you for our leaders. I pray that you would just go before this meeting and just supply these people with all that they need, God, with decision making and for the month and also for this meeting. I just thank you for them and for this city again in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Sir?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, Chief Nicholas Moya, Belen Fire Department. I'm here today to extend an invitation to the governing body of the city of Belen and to the community for our annual September 11th memorial event ceremony that's going to be happening this Sunday, September 11th at 8:45 at our 9/11 Memorial Park at the intersection of Church and Main Street. We'd appreciate it if the community would come and show their representation as we honor those that lost their lives in the tragic events that happened during the 9/11.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone else here for public comment? All right. All right. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none and hearing none, I will close public comment. Item 6A is a presentation, Belen Middle School Football Players Award. Judge Norwood. The Honorable Coach, Judge Norwood.
As you know, I'm one of the football coaches at the middle school, and we played our first 2 games. We lost one against Los Lunas. But in the midst of defeat, losing this game, it was this one young man who stood out on that field. He gave it all he had. We thought he just about broke, returned 2 kickoffs. He played defense. He plays offense. And he didn't give up until the last second ticked off of that clock. And I was so thrilled. And this was a unanimous selection by the other coach for the August 25th prayer game against Los Lunas. It goes to Ishmael Kano. On September 1st, we had our second game against Eagle Ridge Middle School. They were a different team that Thursday. They weren't the same team that played on August the 25th. This one individual, he threw for about 250 yards. Matter of fact, he threw 2 touchdowns to his twin brother during that game. He ran for about 180 yards. And it was one play. I don't know how he got out of it. He was surrounded, at least about 5 or 6 of the opposition. But he got out of it and scored a touchdown. You know, so the player of the game, it's a family affair. It goes to Chalito Cano. You want to say anything, sir? Okay. Okay.
Do you want to sing a verse of Loyal and True?
You're not done.
And we're going to try to make this a tradition. It's okay.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Where you go?
Taking him to basketball practice.
Go basketball.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we are going to move into public hearings with possible action. Item 7A is the approval or disapproval of an ordinance amending the zoning of property located at 3 and 3C Salas Road, beginning with subdivision, within subdivision, the land of Joel and Onesima P. Salas, tract 5AB 20.31, acre map 96, 1997, revised, adding an SU1 overlay zone to the property. The existing R1 zone remains in place. Stephen Tomita.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Unfortunately, this is a situation that we find common throughout the city of Berlin, where there were buildings that years and years ago were constructed on residential lots that were in addition to the single-family home that's allowed under the R1 zoning. And the most typical is a casita that was placed in the back of the property. We don't know how long a lot of these have been there. We assume some of them actually predate even our zoning ordinance. So they are an existing condition, and they are deemed a non-conforming condition. And by non-conforming, they are allowed to be there. They recognize they're there, they can stay there. But unfortunately, since they are a non-conforming use or non-conforming condition, if they get damaged or destroyed and have to be replaced, they cannot be replaced. If they are allowed to become dilapidated and the owner goes to repair them and remodel them, they're only allowed to expend, I think it's around 25% of the value of that building. So it's very limited what they can do. It's not really posed a problem in the past because lenders have been allowed financing on the properties. They have financed the sale and resale of the properties over the years, but that's changed. And because they're non-conforming and because they can't be replaced, we've now reached a problem where the lenders will no longer finance because they have to finance the bill that they can. If they're going to finance the structures, then there has to be a value there. If it can't be replaced, keep the sound here.
Yeah.
If it can't be replaced, then there's no value. So the appraisers, when they come in to appraise the property, they immediately contact planning and ask if there's any problems on the properties and are those considered non-conforming uses and can they be replaced? And our answer is no. And because of that, the lender says then there's no value for the mortgage and the financing. So the only value and the only thing that they will finance, if they'll even finance, is the primary residence. So the property's deemed a lower value that's there. And at this point in time, most lenders won't even touch the property. They just say, until it's brought into conformance, until the problem is resolved, they will not do any financing on the property. And the appraiser accordingly adjusts the appraisal of that property. So we have been trying in the past, we have implemented a special use overlay on the property. And this has also been reviewed by legal counsel on what to do. And right now, the only thing we can do immediately is to place an overlay, SU1 overlay on the property that recognizes that casita and states that the casita can remain there and this casita can be replaced if it's damaged or destroyed, needs remodeling. And in the past, we've incorporated a restriction that says that they have to do that within 1 year. If they do not move forward to replace it that year, then the SU1 goes away and the building cannot be replaced. That is what we've been incorporating. That's what we have proposed to the council tonight. It's on.
Phones might be the.
And so that's what we're presenting to the council, and we have another one following this that's the exact same circumstances that impose the SU1 overlay, allow it to remain, allow it to be replaced, but if it gets damaged, they have a certain amount of time to do it. Now, we are trying to resolve, the Planning and Zoning Commission wants to resolve this in a simpler way. So it's their intent to incorporate a language that will amend the zoning ordinance and the R1 zone that recognizes these, basically doing what the SU1. It says they're there, they can be replaced, they need to be maintained, they can be replaced, and they have a certain time period to replace those. And it'll take it up to a date of those casitas, up to a more modern date. It'll recognize all previous to that date. So we're going to be working on an amendment to the zoning ordinance that takes care of that. But in the meantime, these are coming in, and we're getting more and more phone calls from appraisers and property owners that say, we have this problem, can we deal with it right now? And so we're using the SU1 right now until we can change the ordinance. So that's what's before you tonight. This one tonight is here on Salas Road. Here's the casita back here in the back. They've remodeled the house, they've remodeled the casita. They have been trying to entertain purchase agreements on it. They're in kind of a panic to get it done, to be able to close. And so that's the situation we're dealing with right now. I'm open to any questions you may have on that.
Questions for Mr. Tomita regarding this special use overlay?
Mayor?
Counselor.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what we're doing here. But I read in the staff summary, and I know you addressed this. It says a situation that is very common throughout the city. Several SU overlay permits have already been granted for the same condition. Expect that we're going to continue to get those. Just seems a little asinine to me that we just keep issuing SU1 overlays. I think what you said, that the P&Z is looking at modifying R1 to allow this. I think we should do that sooner than later. And I hope that these are the last two SU1 overlays that come before the council. So I think it seems like to me that it should be a pretty simple ordinance change to get this right, instead of just going through the ramifications of every time just saying, okay, get SU1, everybody approves it and everything's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Council, there's barely been another one that's been submitted. It's not the same situation. And so it's a completely different animal, but once again, it's a non-conforming. That one, it's going to be questionable whether it'll be approvable or not. That one's going to undergo a considerable legal review to whether it applies or not, or whether we get in spot zone. But any other ones that come in the situation, we can advise them we're not accepting anymore until the zoning ordinance is amended. And that will have to go through legal counsel, also review to make sure we're incorporating what he's comfortable with, the language that goes into that amendment. But we'll move it forward as fast as we can.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have to agree with Councilman Holdeman that we have to get this started. That's why we have to review all the ordinances that haven't been reviewed for quite a while now. But are the property owners here, if we could hear from them?
Yes.
We'd like to hear from you to see what you say.
This is the one on Solace, so if you want to come up for the one on Solace.
For the Solace property?
Yeah, I guess the one, we notified them they need to be at the meeting, but doesn't look like the one for Solace is here today.
Well, I agree. We have to change these from R1s back to what they are. Giving them a special use permit all the time, and it also obligates them to make sure that they're able to maintain their homes and stuff like that. And we'd hate to take anything away if it's workable for them to be able to remodel and stuff. We got to stop going back to Mahanta and quit blaming them, and let's start doing our job now, so we can do and upgrade all the ordinances. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions from the council? This is a public hearing this evening. If there's anyone here to speak for or against this special use overlay, the special use overlay, we would invite you forward at this time.
Solace.
This is the Solace property first. All right, if there's no one here to speak for public hearing, I will go ahead and squeal. I will go ahead and close that public hearing. And in regards to this, if there's no more discussion or questions by the council, I'll take a motion for this.
I move to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve from Councilor Bernal and a second from Councilor Ortega. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
All right, that is approved. Item 7B, approval or disapproval of an ordinance amending the zoning of property located at 1012 Ross Avenue, being with subdivision Radcliffe Edition, Lot 4, adding an SU1 overlay zone to the property. The existing R1 zone remains in place. Mr. Tomita.
I'm trying to bring it up here, Mayor Council. This is the same circumstances. Let's see if I can find Ross Avenue here. I jumped around the map, now I lost my bearings here. It's Picard. Which one is it there, Matt? Right there? Right there.
1012.
There it is.
All right.
1012 West Ross. This is the exact same circumstances that the casita is back here. The house has been remodeled, the casita's been remodeled. There is, I believe, a pending sale on the property. It was supposed to close last month, but this came to light that they're not conforming, so the closing has been placed on hold until the SU1 overlay may be approved by the council. So once again, exact same circumstances as the other one. They've done nice, both homes, they've done a nice job on the remodels and bringing them up to date. Very attractive looking.
All right, questions from the council regarding this special use overlay?
Mr. Tomita, is this on the east side of the tracks, Ross tracks, or is it on the west side? of the
West side.
tracks? On the
Yes.
west side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe there's 10th.
Ross and 10th.
Okay.
So it's just west of 10th Street.
Okay. 10th and Ross. right, do we have any questions from the council?
Unless the folks have anything they want to say.
Anything y'all want to come up and say?
I saw your paperwork and stuff. You guys did a good job. I can see the remodeling, the bathrooms, the fencing that you've done and stuff like that, cleaning up the yard. Yeah, good.
Thank you. Once again, this has been published and public hearing. So if there's anyone here to speak either for or against this special use overlay, we would invite you forward to do that. There doesn't appear to be anyone here for or against, so we'll close the public hearing. I'd like to ask the council for a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Councilor Bernal and a second from Councilor Ortega. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
That's approved. Thank you, Mr. Tomita.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'll just continue standing up here.
Oh, yes, yes, please. Item 8A, discussion with possible action, approval or disapproval of an agreement between Valencia County and the City of Belen for the purposes of providing housing and care for animals originating from the jurisdiction of the City of Belen. Fidel.
I got different.
Evening, Council, Mayor.
Good evening.
There we go. I think you can hear me now. Community Preservation Director, Officer Torres, here for the MOU between the city and the County of Valencia for housing of animals and all that good stuff between us and the animal shelter. So one of the big changes that we're bringing in this MOU that you guys should notice on there is there'll be a charge of $50 per animal per day. There's a 72-hour hold that we have on all strays when we take them in, giving the public plenty of time to come in and pick up any strays that we do bring in. So it'll be about a $150 cap on that. Once the 72 hours expires, any unclaimed animals will become property of the shelter. They can be adopted or taken care of from that point. They will no longer be property of the city or anything under our. So the big impact on this with us, we've been paying $2,300 a month as per our old MOU. So we average around 30 to 45 animals per month just on average. So it can range from 1,500 to a little bit more a month. And
How many animals a month?
we range from 30 to 45.
Strays?
And strays. With spring and stuff like that, we get big influxes of kittens and stuff like that. So the number can go up to about 60 animals. My mind went blank. We got, in the fall, I think we can range up to 50 animals as well. That's another high area, October through November area. But otherwise, we usually, on the very most average, is about at least 30 animals. Our fees reflect, we had a amendment that reflected $25 per reclaim fee for the city. So anybody that we have a stray, they have to come to us first, pay a reclaim fee, and then they're allowed to go pick up their animal at the shelter. That helps us recoup this cost that comes onto us at the city. Ours range from $25 for the first offense, $50 for the second offense, and $75 for a third offense or more. This can be looked at as we're opening up some of our animal ordinances here pretty soon, myself and Dorothy, to, if you guys would like to amend that to reflect the counties for the $50 per animal per day. This is something that they had passed earlier in this year when I attended the no chaining event that they had at the county. So all their fees have gone up just mainly due to price of food increasing, price of housing increasing, electricity, everything that's going up. This is just something that reflects our current age. And any type of vet, any type of everything is going up in price. So this is just something that's going to reflect on us and every other city that goes through the shelter. Any questions for me? I think I covered everything.
Are there any questions for Mr. Torres?
Mayor?
Please.
So did we have a MOU in place now?
Yes,
Was
an
it-
old one from 2009.
And what was that fee again?
We paid a monthly fee for all the animals at that time for $2,300.
2,300?
Mm-hmm. And
That
this
that was what was capped?
yeah, and that was for everything that we brought in during that month. Like I said, it's been a long time ago since that MOU was in place to this one here. They changed their fees and everything with the county earlier this year. I believe it was May, I believe it was. And for this purpose of everywhere in the county, all the other municipalities will reflect the same. And their reclaim fees have gone up through the shelter, their adoption fees and everything was under old unsustainable fees that they had at the time. They were actually losing money whenever they were adopting out the pets and stuff, is why they moved all their stuff to reflect our current age. And so everything just kind of falls on us too, as just per the housing of these animals and the 24-hour care that they require once they're under our protection. So
So if I heard you correctly, then that 2,300 fee is going to go to anywhere from 4,500 to 6,000 a month now?
it could possibly, depending on how many we take. Like I said, these fees are also recoverable as to what our fee process will go to. Like I said, ours right now, as it stands, it was 25 for the first, 50 for the second offense, and 75 for the third offense or more. We brought that up from our old one from 1985, which we originally had $5, $15, and $25 was our big fee. So it's just a matter of bringing our fees to mirror those so we can recoup costs on animals that we take in. Any strays that we do take in, it is a citation for the animals running at large. And so all those fees can be recoverable. The only thing that's not a $150 cap on these for the 72 hours is if something is like a dog bite, we have a mandatory 10-day quarantine. And anything that's judge ordered for holding of an animal, it'd be the $50 per day, and there's no cap on those specifically. But everything else, once the 72 hours expires on these canines, they become property of the shelter, and they are no longer within the city's realm of protection on that. So ours caps off at $150 per animal per their stay. So, and dog bites, we average maybe one a month, if that. So it's not a high likely that we're going to have a lot of fees that go over that $150 step on that.
Okay. Well, as you said, I think it's a good plan as you're looking at maybe updating our fees. That's a substantial hit from 2,000 to maybe 6,000. So, if there's going to be a stray, so we're going to let the stray, they may want to bear that cost. My other just question is, if I read this right, this MOU is pretty much into perpetuity unless somebody terminates it, right? Gives notice?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor,
Councilor Bernal.
I'm in agreement with Councilor Holdman and what you said with bringing up our fees. I would also say to bring them up a little bit more than just to cover the cost of these fees here in the MOU, because not only because I think it's important to be like, okay, there's going to be actual consequences to leaving dogs out, or dogs becoming strays, or whoever might be in charge of the animal. But in addition to covering at least or offsetting at least some of our cost, whether it's manpower or whatever it is, wear and tear on vehicles, I know it's not going to cover that 100%, but it'll offset it a little bit. So I think those two are pretty important. Because like Councilor Holdman says, it's a lot of money, because I calculated it's anywhere on the low end from $1,600 to $2,250, and the high end is $4,800 and $6,750, so it's almost $7,000. So, yeah, so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Ortega.
One of the things is on that, once this is signed and once it's signed by the county, what's our timeline? What's our timeline in putting up the ordinances and bringing up the cost to us and stuff? Do you already have something ready and prepared, or?
We have, I have a draft that's available that myself and Dorothy are going to be going over this week. We're adding another thing that we have to add is a litter permit fee. That's something that the city's never had before. It's always gone through just the county. But that's going to be something that we take in-house now for any litters that are through the city. But we can pretty quickly reflect this onto our ordinances and bring that to you immediately. This MOU will take place immediately, but we shouldn't be far behind, probably within the next 2 council meetings.
Well, this way we can work with our finance department to
Yes.
make sure, but understand that the $6,000 or $7,000 is quite a bit. But if we had to house them ourselves and build a shelter, it'd be
It would
100
be
times that, so.
an extensive cost to
So
us.
I think we're still getting a bargain over there with the county
Yeah.
taking care of them and stuff like that. The other thing out of this cost too is feeding them also, correct?
Yeah, this is food, water,
Water.
everything that has to take place over there.
Okay, if you can't prove they have their shots and stuff, does this also pay for that?
For the shots, if they have.
Neutering, you know how they go?
We don't we don't have a spay and neuter ordinance in the city that we require. We do require rabies vaccinations and all that, and we go through our citation process for that whenever we take them. That's got really not too much to do with them over there.
I think that's something in our new ordinance for the spading and the neutering also too. I think it's important because if not, we're gonna continue to have ingrowth of puppies and kitties, and it's really starting to cost, so let's go ahead and do it this way, you know. Okay, thank you. Mayor.
All right, any other questions, comments from the council? If there are none, this MOU is up for possible action. Is there a motion regarding?
I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Councilor Bernal. Is there a second?
Second?
A second from Councilor Holdman. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
It's approved. Thank you, Vidal.
Thank you.
Item 8B, the approval or disapproval of a resolution authorizing filing of an application for financial assistance from the New Mexico Water Trust Board for the City of Belen Supplement Well 8. Mr. Tomita.
Mayor, councilors, as you're all aware, we're getting closer and closer for the Well 8 arsenic treatment plant to kick into gear. As we've been working on that, one of the part of that construction was replacing the pump for the well. And we've run into a problem that we can't get the pump removed. We've been discussing with the contract and others different methods we might employ to break that loose and pull it and replace it. And we'll be doing that in the next month or so as the water usage hopefully drops down and puts us in a better position to have adequate storage in the tank when we do it. One of the things we want to run a risk of at this point in time, so we're going to be very cautious for it not to happen, is that we could snap it off when we're trying to remove that. And that shuts down that well, that pump, which provides the housing, the De La Reina housing and Walmart and some others, their water supply. So we're very, very nervous about what we're doing there, going to be going about it cautiously. But in dealing with this situation, the age of the well and the pump, even though we'll have a new pump, is even down the road, we still run a risk that well could fail. And then we have homes and businesses out of water because there's no other backup for that. So in looking at the situation, we have determined we really need to move forward and put in another well to back that up so that we do have backup redundancy, a capacity to serve that. And as we develop on up into on the east side of the freeway heading north on that 595 acres, that we'll have adequate water to supply that. So we have an opportunity that came available where we could apply for Water Trust Board financing, and we felt this was the opportune time to go ahead and apply for financing to put in an additional well at the site, which is $2 million. So that's what we're here tonight, is to get approval for a resolution from the council to submit, and we've already submitted a notice of intent, but we need to actually submit the application. So the resolution is authorizing us to submit the application for $2 million to put in a new well itself. We will then keep the existing well as a backup. We can't use both wells. We're prohibited from doing that, but we'll keep it in operation. So if there's a problem with the new well or anything happens in the future, we have a backup source of water supply. So I'm open up for any questions you may have on this.
Questions from the council?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
is this the same well that we just put in, the arsenic filters and all this?
Yes.
So at the time when we inspected the tank, was there any problems with the casing or anything? Is it welded on? Is the pump, did it rust to that? Is the casing going to break?
We're not real sure. We know that it was, we believe there was a weld to it. So that's why we're taking a caution to this as we approach it to see if we can break it loose, normal procedure, and not do any damage. If we get to the point that we feel it might break and we lose that casing and such, we're going to stop it and just leave the existing pump in place until we can come in with a new well and then put a new pump on that.
Okay, if you do something like that, in the casing, won't it be leaking what they call sugar sand to the systems, to La Reina and Walmart and all these places?
Not if we don't do any damage. So the steps we're trying to take is make sure we don't damage it. If we reach the point it looks like we could, we're going to back off. We don't.
Okay, so
we can't
then-
take that risk.
I think when did we purchase that well?
It's been years ago that we did
So
that.
we went Mahantas back then too, right? So here we go. Okay, this is something that we have to do. We don't have no choice. And it's an emergency backup. I've been talking about water systems there at Walmart for water looping for a very long time now. So I'm glad, it seems like we're always reactive instead of proactive. I don't know why, but I've been talking about that for a long time. So
agree
hopefully
with
that the casing will hold. Hopefully there's not any holes in it and stuff. It doesn't crack. And I hope we can get that well in there before something really happens and stuff. We should have known this as we were spending all those thousands of dollars on the filters that we were using for the arsenic. So determine that. So anyway, I can understand what you're doing. It's not here and there. We have to be ready in case the worst scenario happens. So I understand.
Thank you.
Other comments from the council? Questions? If there are none, this is for possible action. Is there a motion on this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilor Ortega and a second from Councilor Bernal. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
and Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
Steve, that's approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Up next is item 8C, discussion with possible action. This is the approval. Yes, sir.
Before we move on, can I just ask one more thing of Steve before he goes? When are we doing this? I don't want to wait 6, 7 months, 10 months. When is this all going to take place? What's the time?
The
Frame on it.
application, I believe, goes in the end of this month. or-
Okay, so from the time we put in the application to if it gets approved, what time limit, and what's our backup plan if we don't get it approved? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure how fast they'll respond and select it. We have to interview for it afterwards, and they'll determine how much money we'll get and whether it'll be, a grant loan or whatever the terms are of that. In the meantime, we're looking at possible transport of water. There's not, all we could do is keep trying to fill it up by other means. There's no other well, nothing else can reach that point. It's an isolated point, and so we just have to bring in public trucks and haul water in if we have to. That's why we're very nervous
And
about
just to
this
make
whole
a
thing.
comment, if we'd have had the water looping coming from Mesa, from our other well, we'd have had a second choice. But I understand.
I don't disagree with you. We've been talking about it for a long time.
Item 8C, approval or disapproval of a resolution adopting the fiscal years 2024 to 2028 Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, also known as our ICIP. Mr. Tomita.
Mayor, councilors, we're finally ready to move forward with the ICIP plan adoption. And Dorothy could zoom so I can read the screen. getting old eyes here, what can I say? So we have before you here the top 10 items that, as you recall, we had a workshop where we went over the list of all the different needed projects and critical projects and deleted some that we'd already accomplished and added some others. And we came up with what they always refer to go to our legislation as the top 10 that we want to focus on, and then the top 5. But before you tonight is the top 10, with number 1 being a water treatment plant design for $2 million. The North Interchange construction of $15 million to build it, and $500,000 to complete planning and preliminary design. We already have a grant for additional funds, but we need additional $500,000 to really, because DOT's asked us to do more than what was originally anticipated, basically starting over. We're trying to fight that and struggle with that. City flood improvements, which includes the Eagle Park Pond, the VREC communication upgrades. They are updating the whole VREC system, so we're going to have to do update of our system and connects to that. Road improvements for $4 million. The firefighter ladder truck, $2 million. Community maintenance equipment, sweeper, weed maintenance, $300,000. The Valencia County flood prevention, that's I believe the plan, which is $3 million. The community center structural analysis, what is going on with our community center? Why is it keep deteriorating and failing? And then the Harvey House final roof repair along the front of the building that is leaking, and we're going to be undergoing a lot of damage there. So that's the 10 top items on the ICIP list. So if there's any questions, or I could answer, or have anybody else answer?
Go ahead, Councilor Bernal.
Sorry if I didn't hear you say it, but how much is the Eagle Park Pond funding? Because it's also not up there. Do we know how much we're requesting for that?
Dorothy, do you have a number for that for the city? It's up number 3, I think, was there.
Yeah, number 3.
The city and flood improvements for Eagle Park. I don't recall. Do you remember, Andrew, what that number was?
Mayor and Councilor Bernal, at that point in time, because the discussion was ongoing, we didn't have a number to assign to it. It was kind of a council-initiated request. I haven't had the chance to talk to Jonah to see what the estimated cost for that project will be at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. In your expertise, Steve, do you have any kind of, maybe an idea of how much it might be?
I'm trying to remember. I thought that was about, it's around 700,000 or so to be able to clean out the pond, add the piping system out to the canal, do a restriction flow and elevated intake. So I think it was around that much.
Okay, thank you. And then just for public record, can you mention which roads specifically are slated if that funding were to be given to us for that $4 million?
There was a whole list of roads, and what we would do is we would take that, if the funding comes in, then we would bring that back to the council and have the council say, we kind of left it open, here's the variety of roads we could look at, and then based upon the funds we would get under the capital outlay, then we would come back to the council and say, here was the list of roads, what would you deem, based upon the funding, you'd want to move forward with?
Okay.
Because we could get a big fee and we may get a very minimal fee.
Yeah.
So we'd have to look at the different roads.
Yeah, I remember I gave like a list and we all had a list, but I know that the $4 million won't cover all of that list.
No.
So I want to see what exactly we might be, or, that's fine if it comes to the council at a later time and we decide then. But I just wanted to see which roads specifically. Okay. So the legislature is going to have a lot of money coming up this next session. And so I'm just kind of wondering, how we plan to capitalize on it. I know usually the council and city staff meet with our legislators, our state delegation. So when are we planning to do that, or are we planning to do that this year?
I think that was still open for question how we wanted to proceed that. I think it's very effective to be able to sit down with our legislators because we're able to entertain their questions and answer them and address what becomes critical before they go into the session. And we can do that during the session. I don't think it's near as effective that we can have that feedback and forth with them. So I think we need to schedule to sit down with them.
Yeah, that would be awesome to have something ready in December-ish.
Yes.
I think if everyone kind of look at their calendars and, or, well, Mayor.
Mayor Noblin and Councilor Bernal, we were looking to the week before Thanksgiving to have a reception.
Week before Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir, to present them with our priorities for the city.
Okay, I'm gonna be gone. It's either the second or third week of November, so I won't be here.
I'd like to do it early November so we don't crunch into the holidays too much, so we'll work with everybody's schedule to get it sooner rather than later.
Awesome. All right. I believe that's it, Mayor.
Yeah, I think that's been very, very effective, meeting with them.
Mr. Tomita, just, I don't know if it needs to, if this is being signed by me after the meeting. The minutes from our August 16th ICIP workshop, we asked for road improvements to be increased to 8 million and not 4 million. We discussed that in the workshop,
We can
and it
do-
is in the minutes from the ICIP workshop.
Yeah.
I think we did that because rumor is there's so much money out there, why not ask for more, and maybe we'll receive a little more. So 8 million was what we discussed in the workshop for road improvement specific.
Yeah, and in the past, we've always been tried to be conservative, and then we end up with even a more conservative fund that we get.
Right.
So I think it's time, let's go after a bigger dollar and
Sure.
see what we get.
All right. Any other discussion or questions?
Mayor? Just for the record too, I don't want to lose sight, I know we have 3 for the city flood improvements, but I don't want to forget about the May Reed Pond. We're still have to move on that, it's a must. We have $1.7 million on that. I don't know if we have to ask for extensions, whatever it is, we got to get moving on that. And the West Mesa Pond, we got to start focusing on that to get those people back there to start clearing it out and like that. I don't want to say that we forgot it or anything. The other thing is too, we have appropriation funding that comes for junior funding. So maybe we should have some junior funding in place, like for parks. I'm going to mention it again, Veterans Memorial. So this way, in case they do have extra money, we can ask through these junior funding. Sometimes they're a little easier to fund to get more like playground equipment, fencing, bathrooms, stuff that we've been hurting for that we haven't been able to do either. So maybe even remodeling the old bathrooms that we have at the Eagle Park. But I think we should make some kind of listing for appropriations for the junior funding too, just in case. Thank you.
Real quick to address what you said there. On the West Side Pond, there was some legal issues. We resolved the legal issue. The attorney issued a letter releasing from that, and then I issued a letter notifying the contractor that they could proceed. They need to get with us to schedule a re-kickoff meeting, and we're pounding on them to respond. So we've notified them the clock is ticking on that. On the May Reed Pond, the design is pretty well nearing completion. What's holding it back was the hospital. It affects where that pond is ultimately located. So once we get that defined, we'll wrap up that location and be able to finalize that design. The Oregon Road Pond, we already had a 60% review on that. They're running at about 85% right now in the design, and we're looking at going for bid on that one in November. So all 3 of them are starting to fall in place where we can have all 3 ponds moving forward very quickly.
And I just want to say that the mayor took some time to go to the Council of Governments to make sure, because we applied for an extension, it wasn't approved, and we were able to get that back, $1.9 million for our West Aragon project. These are things that we shouldn't have to be doing. We should be on time. We should be shovel ready, all ready to go. So this is what concerns me. We need timelines now to actually finish these projects. from time of preparing the plans to the shovel in the ground. And we haven't been receiving that. I think that's very important. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, any other questions?
One thing, Mayor.
Yes, sir, Counselor.
So, number 8 is Valencia County Flood Prevention, and the reason, I just want to be clear, the reason we're putting that up there is because they're asking for, Valencia County is asking for that money, and we're just doing it in support of them getting that money. So that money won't come to us, correct?
The Valencia County Flood Prevention, the $3 million, I believe, is the master plan, flood master plan.
Okay.
And the other one we have, which is further down on the list, was the, I believe, $65 million, and we were just putting that in, showing that we're support in the county going after the actual solution. So this is to come up with our flood prevention master plan.
Mayor,
Yes.
just to add a little bit, I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
Go ahead.
Just to put this too, on that 65 million that we're doing was a diversionary channel. But we have signed an MOU with MRGCD in order for us to use the Highline canals now as some kind of diversionary channel, is my understanding, to divert some of this water from the watershed. Although we have to do some preparing and stuff and upgrading the Highline canal, and this is part of what we're supposed to do with MRGCD and the county. So this way it does happen. But we must upgrade all this stuff. We can't forget that still Belen has a problem, even though we're going to have the board. We're doing the board for we can go after federal monies that we're able to do. All these monies that are coming in this way, we'll be able to work together. Hopefully it'll work out.
Let me clarify so everybody has a clear understanding of what we have worked out with the Conservancy District and what we're doing with the design of our ponds. We did enter into an MOU with the Conservancy District, and that MOU allows us to discharge the stormwaters that are coming out of our ponds and arroyos. But it's going to be based upon a reduced controlled flow. So we're having to take every step we can to minimize the amount of water that goes into the Conservancy District mainline canal. We aren't going to be doing improvements to the canal with those ponds. Is that we're going to be desilting the water as it comes out, as it goes into the ponds, so we have cleaner water that dumps into the canal, so we're not silting in the canal and causing it to overflow. We're not discharging uncontrolled amount of waters, so it overtops and discharges. So that's the intent, is because it's going there anyway. No matter what we do, it has no route because the canal goes across all the arroyos. So it blocks all the arroyos. So it's naturally going into the canal. We're working with them to control how much water, controlling the silt. And that's one of the reasons we were really excited that we just got the grant from the state to pave Oregon Road all the way up to the freeway. So now we can pave that and control the silt that also goes to the canal. So that was the agreement we came into. Yes, we can discharge, but we have to control it, we have to desilt it, and work them on that basis. And they will maintain the canal to be able to accept those flows.
Mayor,
Yes, sir, Counselor.
on that note, that's why it's important for us to complete our holding ponds with discharges to make sure that they're slow. It's very important, even if we can add some extra holding ponds to stop the watershed water coming down from the West Mesa. That's what hurts us. If we can't do that, again, we're going to flood in the areas. That's our big problem where the silting is. That has to upgrade the Highline Canal. We have to upgrade that. And we have to bring that to MRGCD and help them gain funding for that also, if we can do that. So I just want to clarify that. We must complete these holding ponds that we have already, that we've been since 2017. We're going to go say Mahante again. We're doing it again. So we're 2022 already. So we got to get off the box and start getting these projects completed.
You're right.
Okay?
All right. Any other comments, questions, discussion by the council? If not, do we have a motion on the ICIP?
I move to approve with the change of road improvements from 4 million to 8 million.
Have a motion from Councilor Bernal to approve with the change of road improvements to 8 million. Is there a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Second from Councilor Ortega. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
All right, that's approved with that
Thank you.
change. Thank you. Up next, Mr. Thompson, approval or disapproval of a resolution authorizing acceptance of grant funding from the Federal Aviation Administration for $67,087.
Mayor, council members, before you, you have the resolution for this grant that we have applied for with the FAA. The FAA requires a resolution to go along with the grant acceptance. And this is the design-only grant. We did bid out the project. The bids came in considerably higher than were expected, and the FAA didn't have the funding to cover the entire project. So now we've broken it down into design this year. We will rebid it in the spring. The federal fiscal year starts in October, so that starts a new grant year. So we're asking for your approval to accept this grant for $67,087 with $37,28 in matching funds from the city and the state.
Okay. Again, resolution authorizing the acceptance of this grant funding from the FAA. Is there any questions or discussion from the council?
Do we have the 28,000?
No,
Our
this-
matching fund?
No, it's $3,728 matching.
Just wanted to make sure I heard 28,000.
No, $37,28.
Okay, thank you.
$3,728.
28.
I heard 28,000, so.
No.
Any questions?
But yes, we do have that too.
Mr. Thompson, thank you for your work on this. We appreciate it. Again, is there a motion from the council regarding this resolution?
So move.
To approve.
Everybody. I'm going to say we have a motion to approve from Councilor Haldeman.
I haven't done one
and,
yet.
a second from Councilor Bernal. For a vote,
that back, I bet you I have it. No, I'm kidding.
Councilor Padilla, your vote?
Yes.
Councilor Bernal? All right, Councilor Ortega?
Yes.
And Councilor Haldeman?
Yes.
All right, that's approved. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Informational items. Item 9A, City Manager's Report.
Mayor and councilors, thank you, John, for making this project happen. The bigger rocks for the airport as we increase in size here in the local areas to advance the idea of a terminal and a firefighting facility up there. So those are big things that are coming, as well as making that runway more capable for cargo-type aircraft. So very excited about the future of the airport. Somebody asked about, you did, Councilor Ortega, about ordinance review. Last year and a half, we indicated that all 100% of our ordinances needed a review. If they were good to go, we're happy. If not, we needed to come and offer them for your review and approval. So I will be sending the list, which is maintained by Dorothy, of what's been reviewed and approved and what's on the docket coming forward. So that'll be a due-out that I'll provide to all of you. This morning, I was informed by County Manager Danny Manette that the county governing body was meeting in executive session to discuss the current vetting of the applicants for the hospital. I don't know what the outcome of that executive session was, but it sounds like they're coming close to making an announcement. Once that announcement is made, then we'll be able to know which route to go with respect to the Reed May Pond, if it's the original design or if it's the modified design to accommodate the hospital site, if they locate that as the site to build a hospital in. Weeds have overtaken us. We are in dire straits, and rightfully so. A lot of our constituents are not happy with us. We have not been able to keep up. The mayor had an excellent proposal, and we're jumping on that proposal. Let's contract out and get some outside help to bring back the problem to a better place. So we have at least one landscaping company that has expressed interest. I think they'll be starting work either tomorrow or day after tomorrow. The requisition is in. They have their business license to operate here in the city of Belen, and they're eager to get to work. So We will soon get some help on the way for that. The Comprehensive Master Plan workshop's pretty successful, as we had discussed before. There'll be a follow-on public workshop coming up on the 22nd of September. It'll be held here at the Public Library. This will be announced via the Valencia County News Bulletin, give people as much heads up that they're willing, or they're very much welcome to participate. So the 22nd of September. In addition to that workshop, we're going to have a special workshop just for the city directors. We're going to get Phyllis and her crew in to talk to the city staff about their ideas, their thoughts, their perceptions. So we are getting good input, and we're doing our best to make sure that everybody has a voice in how this comprehensive master plan should look like. Regrettably, all of this effort is taking us a little bit more than the original 1-month delay that I had reported. It's looking more like a 2-month delay. We're thinking early part of October, according to Phyllis, for a final draft review by the Planning and Zoning Commission and then here to the council for approval. We talked about Well 8 earlier and the fact that we needed redundancy out there. The good news for Well 8 is that we are ready to start up and have training for our crews on how to operate the arsenic mitigation equipment. So that's going to start, according to Ralph Jaramillo, on the 12th of September. So we'll be coming out of our compliance issue with the New Mexico Environmental Department once we get that well started up. It's a good news story for the city of Belen. There were questions about the work that needs to be done at Eagle Park. Notices of obligation were submitted a while back by Mr. Tamita. We didn't seem to get a response from the state, and so Mr. Tamita has resubmitted them. He's working with Joshua on laying out the phased approach to getting the work up there done with respect to the fence, the walking path, and all the other major improvements, including the public use area. The soccer fields funding that was appropriated in House Bill 1, or Senate Bill 1 rather, by Senator Baca to the high school, with the Belen City being the fiscal agent. We're still awaiting the funding agreement for that. We've asked for status. Coach has been asking me, when can we get it done? I've got some people that are willing to get to work, and we're trying to prod Department of Finance and Administration to give us an idea of when the funding agreement will come for that. The 18th of September, Harvey House is sponsoring a fashion show. It's a big deal. They have special guests. It's a neat thing that the Harvey House is putting on for the people of Belen. And I think it's going to be fun for those who elect to participate in that. The 24th of September is Rio Bajo Days here on Becker. That should also be a lot of fun. It is every day or every year that it occurs. And finally, I'd like to say that we did put out an RFP for on-call engineering. Molson Corbin has been our sole source of supply for on-call engineering services for a good while. Because of the growth in Belen, because of a variety of factors, including the amount of work that's out there, we felt it would be best if the city had some options. And so the RFP is out. I know of 2 engineering firms. There might be more with the help of Councilor Holman, who was beating the bushes, that are expressing interest. So we're very happy about that. That's all I can think of for now, pending any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Salas at this time?
Would you go over the memorial, when they're going to start with their final plans, actual, and then shovel work? Did they give you the dates that day?
MRWM is supposed to be providing a weekly status update. Because I was gone this last week, I'm not sure if they provided that.
I believe they gave it to Steve. Okay, well, the mayor and I got an update. I don't know how they missed you. So we're supposed to be getting the plans to approve them between the 7th and the 8th. It's going to come to the committee and meeting somewhere around the 17th. I'm waiting for commitment on that. And then RFP will be given out in October. Hopefully by November, we'll start the new working for the new memorial path and also the new bathrooms, along with the electrical work there. So we're waiting for that. So can you check with that to make sure I'm verified tomorrow, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Salas?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the only thing that I have for you really is the Facebook Live complaints. Well, I mean, because we haven't been having Facebook Live, and a lot of people are telling me that that they don't like that there's not quick access through Facebook, and I mean, they still can have access to the meetings, but I mean, I feel like it's not that difficult to get Facebook Live back up and running. So, I mean, it's probably best to get someone to do it.
Are you talking about this particular meeting, sir? or
Like,
the-
well,
what is
every
it?
meeting going forward.
Every meeting going forward. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
The desire is to have this meeting or any meeting going forward on Facebook
Okay.
Live.
Okay. And then what we can do, I don't know if it'll be possible or what, but do we record the old ones, right, through Zoom?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if we would maybe like to retroactively update them. Oh, you did all that to Facebook? Although retroactively? Oh, okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you then.
Yes, I'll look into that, Counselor, to see what the technical problem is and what it take to overcome that.
Okay.
I do have a question. I'd like to follow up to Councilor Bernal. So the Zoom meetings have been recorded and they're available? Is that what I heard? Oh, okay. I missed them, I guess.
Yeah.
They're on our website, recorded? Can you tell me where that's at? Because I couldn't find it. I'm just curious.
Go to the council meetings, they should be right in there.
Okay, I'll check. I may have just missed it. I do know that last P and Z meeting, there, the link I had to Zoom didn't take me anywhere, so I'll check.
All right, anything else for Mr. Salas?
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, communication from the City Council. Councilor Padilla, do you have anything?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, Councilor Bernal.
I want to wish everyone a happy Labor Day. That's why we're having the meeting on Tuesdays, because yesterday was Labor Day. I visited Art in the Park the other week, or this last weekend. If you haven't been, I'd recommend you go. It's actually really nice. And now that it's getting cooler, because it's September, I mean, not like by a lot, but it's a little cooler, it's actually kind of nice. I also I attended the La Vida Felicidad fundraiser at the Sheriff's Posse. That was a lot of fun. Went to the Valencia County Fair. That was also fun. Lots of good food and vendors. So in addition, I had also noticed, and I think I had sent this to maybe Andrew and the mayor, but there was a meeting of Albuquerque local and state elected officials that came together to discuss homelessness and crime. Not necessarily in relation, but to address each of the topics. Now, I didn't know about this before it happened, but I would love for us and Valencia County to be included in these conversations, because Albuquerque, although we are not part of the city of Albuquerque, we are very much affected by things that they deal with as well, whether it's directly or indirectly. So I would love to have a conversation at our next Valencia Association of Local Elected Officials meeting about homelessness and crime, and maybe coming together with our state delegation, Albuquerque state delegation, and our local elected officials, and just have one huge roundtable on discussing, okay, how can we address this, and see if Albuquerque, Los Lunas, and Valencia County, and Bernalillo County can really work together to finally address this issue. I know this was a major thing on Mayor Keller's agenda, so I don't see why they wouldn't want to meet about it. But it would be good to have something on the calendar for the future. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bernal. Councilor Ortega.
Pass.
Councilor Haldeman.
Thank you, Mayor. Been a busy time in town since our last council meeting, actually. You know, I didn't make it to Art in the Park this last weekend, but that is a great venue that we ought to support. But we also had fiestas, the Blend Fiesta, brought a lot of people in, buying things here in town. Went to the New Mexico Cruise event, had a great event on Becker, a lot of cars, a lot of people in town. It was it was, raining off and on that day, but still, we had a great turnout. I also attended the comprehensive plan workshop. Thought there was some really good feedback from those that showed up. Court, it's going to be addressed the next time. The only complaint I have is it wasn't well advertised. It was just kind of a last minute thing. So I'm glad to see we're out in front of it for 9/22. Hope we can really push that and get some good input. Had an opportunity this, I guess it was last week. Councilor Bertia, myself, a couple people from the city went up to the New Mexico Municipal League annual conference. It was really good. A lot of vendors there, a lot of good vendors, a lot of good opportunities for us, but a lot of good information, I thought, too. One of those pieces of information is, and we've already kind of discussed it tonight, there's a lot of money out there. DFA has grant writers available now. I talked to a couple of folks that said they would be really willing to come down and help us. So hopefully over the next few weeks we can make some contacts. A lot of money, nobody's getting any because nobody knows how. But they want to give it out, and they said they'll help us to do that. So I hope we can strike out on that. To that effect, I actually had emailed DFA. They sent me today the bipartisan infrastructure law searchable. We can go in and look at that. So if anybody would like to see that, I'd be glad to send it to them, or I'll send it to you, Andrew, if you want to send it out to the rest, if anybody that doesn't have it. And to that effect, I'm planning on sitting in a webinar tomorrow on the bipartisan infrastructure law, see what they have to say on that. The only thing I'd say, and I think Councilor Ortega, I think you maybe touched on this a little bit ago. I would like to see, we've got a lot of projects going on in the city. There's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. Sometimes things fall through the cracks. I would like to see some type of I'm not saying it would have to be a formal Gantt chart. Maybe it's even Excel. List some of these projects and maybe where they're at. Where's their estimated completion? Where are we at? X% done. Do we see any critical roadblocks? Anything we need help on to move to the next step? I think it would be good if we had something like that that could come to the mayor and the council on a regular basis, and we just be another set of eyes. So with that, I'll put a plug in since I'm ex officio on the chamber. You've already been mentioned, Rio Bajo Days 9/24. Hope everybody comes out and has a good time there. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Councilor Holdman. I'm going to go ahead and pass because we still have some other items this evening. Item 10 is the approval or disapproval to enter into executive session for the discussion of personnel matters regarding city clerk, fire chief, city manager, as allowed per the Open Meetings Act, Section 10-15-1H2, and for the discussion of a property acquisition as allowed per the Open Meetings Act, Section 10-15-1H8. Motion to enter into executive.
I move to approve.
Motion to approve from Councilor Bernal. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilor Holdman. For a vote, Councilor Padilla.
Yes.
Councilor Bernal.
Yes.
Councilor Ortega.
Yes.
Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
All right, we'll be in executive.
That's why I was like, can I have my water, please? Ooh, it's kind of cold in here.
That's why I bring a jacket. That's why I bring a jacket.
All right. All right, we are going to come back into open session from executive. I need a motion to enter back into open session from executive and to state that the items discussed in executive are limited to those here on the agenda.
So move.
Motion from Councilor Ortega. Do I have a second? Second from Councilor Bernal. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
and Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
All right, we're back in open session. Items discussed in executive session, action items. First item is A, in regards to the city clerk. Is there a motion regarding city clerk?
Motion to regarding city clerk, I move to approve.
Okay, what are we approving, Counselor?
We're approving her raise.
Approving a raise. To 25 an hour.
$25 an hour. From 21 or 22.
So we have a motion to approve a raise for the city clerk to $25 per hour. Is there a second for that motion?
Second. I'll let Councilor Padilla have it.
Second from Councilor Padilla. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
That motion's approved. Up next, executive session action item B in regards to the appointed position of the fire chief. Is there a motion?
I motion to terminate the at-will appointment of Chief Moya pursuant to paragraph 11 of the employment contract. In the interim, the deputy chief will assume operations until an interim or permanent appointment can be made, effective immediately.
We have a motion by Councilor Bernal. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second from Councilor Holdman. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
and Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
Motion passes. Executive session action item C in regards to appointed position of city manager. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the resignation of Manager Salas with the expectation of Manager Salas acting in good faith as a transitional support to Roseanne Peralta as interim manager until 9/21/2022, in which Ms. Peralta will remain as interim manager until a permanent appointment can be made.
Right, we have a motion by Councilor Bernal. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Councilor Holdman. For a vote, Councilor Padilla,
Yes.
Councilor Bernal,
Yes.
Councilor Ortega,
Yes.
and Councilor Holdman.
Yes.
Thank you. Final item in executive session was in regards to property acquisition. And I'll just state for the record that no action is being taken on that this evening. So there's not a motion to present on that, no action. Okay? We're adjourned.